What's up everyone, and welcome to Video Game Book Club, and we have done it. We made it an entire year with the Nintendo Switch, and if you're like me, you put your Switch in a case every single time you go somewhere to avoid breaking it. And over the past year, I bought 4 cases to protect it. And in this video, I'm going to cover all 4 of them that basically encompass every single variation that you could possibly think of, from the Zeldas to the Splatoon ones. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so first up we have the Nintendo Switch Super Mario Bros. Premium Travel Case, and this is by PDP. Now, this was the very first case that I bought, and when you open it up, you can see that there are some slots for games inside. Looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 14 slots for games in here, which is pretty cool. It's a good number of games to carry around with you if you're not doing all digital. And this is on Amazon. Of course, you can get it in any store or whatever, but there's different styles. There's a Mario edition, there's a generic Nintendo Switch edition, and there is a Zelda edition of this. So when you open up the case, it's got this little stylized zipper thing on the side. For the Mario one, it's a coin. I can't speak for the other two. I think the Nintendo Switch one is just the logo, but anyway, we have a strap on this side. And then when you open it up, you have this mesh little pouch that you actually slide the Switch into and out of whenever you want to, store it or play with it. And really, that's about it for protection. Now, it does keep the screen from getting scratched by possibly the games coming down on top of it. But otherwise, this is it's a good case, but it's not one that you want to throw into a bag and have a bunch of books or get tossed around on a plane. I don't think that your Switch would really appreciate that, because if you can tell, it's a little squishy, and a good book, a good heavy school book, like a big geography book or a big math book, smashing on top of this could damage the screen of the Switch if it hit it hard enough. It's a nice looking case, it's a good case, and it's fairly cheap at $15 or so. But as far as protection goes, it's going to give you the minimal amount of protection that you could ask for. Next up, we have the Nintendo Switch Game Traveler Deluxe travel case, and this is by RDS Industries and is about $20 on Amazon. RDS Industries does have another version of this that's about $40, and it is the Nintendo Switch Game Traveler Deluxe system case, which carries your Switch dock and the power cables, the USB chargers. It might even have some room in there for a Pro Controller, but this is strictly for the handheld portion of the console itself. So right off the bat, you can tell it's got this pretty nice, striking design on it. It's got the Switch logo right there front and center. It's got this cool fabric-y texture. Got a handle on top for carrying, the Nintendo Switch logo as the zipper, and then it's got this cool little touch on the side, the red and white zipper. So that's kind of a cool little added detail that you don't see in a lot of stuff. And then when you open it up at the top, you'll see it's got some breathing room. I use this for to hold a USB-C charging cable. It doesn't really fit an extra battery pack, but it did hold that cable pretty well. And then this little pouch here holds, for me, I put the Joy-Con extenders in it. You can put, obviously whatever you want that will fit into it, but I used it to hold the Joy-Con extenders. And then when you flip that up, the other side is more of a micro-y fiber kind of texture to protect the screen from getting scratched. And then underneath of that, obviously, there are these game cases. There's 2 game cases that hold 4 games each, and they also have a SD card adapter holder inside of them, so you can store your SD cards if you swap back and forth with your SD cards a lot. Now, this case offered a good amount of protection. This one, unlike the other one, if you drop a book on this thing, your Switch is gonna be fine. You can toss this thing around, and your Switch inside of it is going to be perfectly fine. I carried this one for a long time, and every now and then I'll go back to it, and I absolutely love this case. So it is a good buy at $19, and all of these links are going to be in the description. No, they'll all link to Amazon most likely, but none of them are affiliate links. So I'm not going to be making any money off of anything you go and buy. They're just down there for easy access for you. Next up, we have another version of the Nintendo Switch game Traveler Deluxe case by RDS Industries, and this is the Mario Odyssey version. And right off the bat, it has this huge graphic on the front for Mario Odyssey. You'll see this also as a version for Breath of the Wild with Zelda. There's, I think there's a Mario Kart 8 one. There's a Splatoon one. And these are slightly different than the previous one that I showed you. And it's different in the fact that obviously the huge graphic on the front, the zipper, this has Cappy on it, but it has the little handle. When you open this up, it has the same detail on the zipper, which is a cool little detail that I like. But when you open it up, you lose that space at the top. So real quick, you can see that there's not really any room to store that charging cable like I did in the other one, and it's just kind of flat. And if you squeeze it, it's smushy. It's very, very smushy. It's not as smushy as the first case, just the premium case or whatever, but it is a little squishy. It's not as sturdy as the all-black travel case. And then it's basically the same thing from there. You have your little pouch to store your Joy-Con adapters or whatever you want. Maybe in this one you use it to store that USB cable. And then underneath that, it's that same textured to protect your screen on the other side of the pouch. And then underneath where you put your Switch, you have your game cases. Same thing here, 2 cases, 4 games each. And, it also comes with the SD card adapters as well, or adapter holders as well. But for the money, this one's about the same price as the black one, and it's not nearly as sturdy or as bulky as the black one was. So for me personally, I preferred the black one because of the protection, and I threw it in my bag. I had my laptop smashing up against it. With that one, I didn't worry as much. With this one though, I worried a little bit just because it's a little bit squishier. It does offer more protection than the first case I showed you all, but also at the same time, it still worries me that a hard hit could still damage it. Now, granted, you do have that layer of protection from the front cover, and then you have the zipper pocket, and then you have your Switch, but also it's still a little bit worrisome, and I would assume that the Splatoon case and the Zelda case also are the same type of squishy feel on the front. So for me, this one wasn't really cutting it that much, so I didn't really stick with that one this long. It was a gift, so it was for my wife. I love this case, but I'm just not comfortable enough putting it in my bag and having a laptop smash up against it, or any other type of book that I might have in my bag smashing against it. Next up, we have the Slim Nintendo Switch Case Portable Hard Shell Traveler, and that is by Tomtec. And this one is the black version. They also have a gray version, which is a very, very, very nice looking gray fabric textured, and it's a little bit more. The black one is $16.99 and the gray one is $21.99. I personally went with the black just because the gray was out of stock at the time, and I really wanted to try this case out. So on the front, you can see it has that same textured look as the official Nintendo case from RDS Industries, but it has some indents on the outside for your Joy-Con analog stick, and then the buttons. You can see really clearly that they're in the shape of a D-pad, but there's no D-pad on the Joy-Con, but that doesn't matter. The buttons fit in there just fine, and they protect them just as well. So we'll open this thing up. There's no really frills or anything on the zipper here. It's black and red, so that's kind of cool. And then when you get inside of it, it has this little game pouch on the front that holds about 8 games, similar to the first case that I showed you all. And that's about it for your game storage. It doesn't have like little cases like the other two from RDS Industries had, but it holds 8, just like those two did as well. And then you'll flip that flap over, and it has a more microfibery, a little bit softer feeling underside to that little cover flap to protect your screen from getting scratched. And then you'll also see it has the indents for like the back parts of the Joy-Cons, and then you set your Switch right inside that. Close it up and zip it up. It's a very slim profile with just as much protection as the one from RDS Industries. And I think that's pretty cool that it's just as sturdy as that one, but a very much smaller profile. Would fit really well in like a purse or a carry-on bag for a plane or anything. Going to work, throw it in your bag. I think it's the perfect fit. It's very slim and narrow profile, but also I would trust it just as much as the RDS case, and that's saying a lot because I love the RDS case. So this one, link in the description, of course, $16.99 on Amazon. I would definitely say this is well worth the money, and it's protection that you don't have to worry about, which is always nice, unlike the Mario Odyssey case, previous little squishy, and also unlike the very first case that if you just dropped a book on it, it would break it. If you dropped a book on this, the book would probably break. So that's the case. This is Tomtec, and it's a really solid case for not being a known maker of cases like PDP or RDS. So definitely don't glance this one over by brand name alone. And if you want the gray one, that's even better because I think it's pretty cool looking. So there you have it. Those are the 4 cases that I bought over the year that kind of span that whole Zelda variation, Splatoon variation. Any of the variations are basically included in those 4. But the big question is, which one do I use day to day every single time I go somewhere? And the answer is the Tomtec. It has the same general stability and protection of the official Nintendo Switch case that Nintendo put out, but it's half the size. So it fits in my work bag just fine, in a suitcase, whatever, and it holds just as many games. It holds 8 in a little flap instead of 4 in 2 separate cases. So this is the one that I use constantly, and it's not very expensive. I think it's actually cheaper than the official Nintendo one. So guys, let me know in the comments below what cases you're using. If you prefer like the Splatoon one or the Zelda variation, just let me know below, and I will see you all next time. Take care, everyone. Oh, poopy pants! Poopy pants!